Imagine standing in front of a wall as tall as a 16-story building. Now tilt that wall until it's almost vertical. No staircase, no rope, no railing, no margin for error. And then, a goat appears. Not struggling, not panicking, not slipping. It walks across the wall as if gravity has simply stopped applying to it. It steps onto a ledge no wider than a human hand, turns its body sideways, lowers its head, and starts licking the stone. A second later, another one appears, then another, and before long, an entire herd is hanging from a near-vertical dam in broad daylight, looking less like real animals, and more like something pasted into the scene. That's why footage from Italy's Cingino Dam stunned the internet. Millions watched it and asked the same question, how is this even possible? But the real mystery isn't just how they climb. The real mystery is why they do it at all. Because these animals are not trapped. They are not being chased. They are not forced up there. They go there on purpose, again and again, to a place where one bad step could mean a deadly fall. So what could possibly be worth that risk? And why do creatures like this choose to live in places where almost nothing else would dare stand? Chapter 1 Masters of the vertical world to us. Cliffs feel like the edge of life. To them, cliffs feel like home. Animals like the alpine ibex, mountain goats, and their close relatives were built for places most creatures avoid: narrow ledges, broken rock, steep slopes, and sheer drop-offs where even looking down makes a person uneasy. Where we see emptiness, they see a map. Where we see danger, they see pathways. Where we see death, they see safety. High in the mountains, these animals move through a world of stone, wind, and exposed ridges with astonishing confidence. They know the terrain in a way that almost feels impossible. Every crack in the rock, every tiny shelf, every stable foothold becomes part of their living memory. From below, a mountainside looks barren, but for them, it is full of roads. They sleep on ledges. They feed on sparse vegetation. They raise their young where predators struggle to follow. And that is the first thing humans often misunderstand. These animals are not performing stunts. They are not doing something extreme. They are simply existing in the environment evolution prepared them for. That's why the footage feels so unnatural to us. Because we're judging their world with a human body and a human fear of heights. But their world was never designed for us. Chapter 2 The dam that made the internet stop. And then, there is the dam. At first glance, the wall at Cingino Dam in northern Italy looks like the last place any animal should go. It's steep, it's bare, it's artificial, and it seems to offer absolutely nothing. No grass, no shrubs, no obvious water, no reason. And yet, for decades, ibex have been climbing it. Tourists freeze when they see it for the first time. Cameras come out instantly. The sight is so bizarre that many people assume it has to be fake. But it isn't fake. And once you know the reason, the image becomes even more fascinating. Because the goats are not up there for a thrill. They are up there for minerals. Water moving through the structure leaves behind traces of salt and other minerals on the dam's surface. To the ibex, that vertical wall is not just concrete. It is a mineral source, a buffet hanging in the sky. If you watch closely, you'll notice they don't behave like animals in panic. They move slowly, deliberately. They stop often, they press close to the wall and lick the surface for long stretches. That detail changes everything. They are not conquering the dam, they are feeding from it. And once that clicks, the impossible starts to make sense. Chapter 3 Why Salt Matters So Much to Us. Salt is a seasoning. To them, it can be essential. Animals that feed on grasses, herbs, and mountain plants constantly need minerals like sodium. In many alpine environments, those nutrients are not easy to find in sufficient amounts. So when nature, or even a human-made structure, offers access to those minerals, they remember, they return, they teach the route to the next generation. And over time, the place becomes part of their behavior. That is why salt licks have drawn animals for centuries all over the world. Long before roads, dams, and tunnels existed, wild herbivores were already traveling to mineral-rich rocks, springs, and exposed surfaces. Some of those paths are ancient. The young follow the adults, and one day, those young become the guides. So when ibex climb a dam for salt, they are not behaving irrationally. They are following one of the oldest survival patterns in the animal world: go where the body gets what it needs, even if that place looks impossible. Chapter 4: Nature's Engineering, but that still leaves the biggest question. How do they stay on a wall that steep? The answer is not courage. It is anatomy. An ibex hoof is an extraordinary piece of natural engineering. The outer edge is hard and sharp enough to grip tiny irregularities in the rock. The inner part is softer, more flexible, almost rubber-like, helping it mold against the surface and increase traction. National Geographic asked Nature. That means every step combines firmness and grip, like a climbing shoe designed by evolution. Their hooves also split and adjust, allowing them to make use of narrow footholds that would be useless to most other animals. What looks smooth to us is not smooth to them. Their feet detect tiny edges, subtle protrusions, minute variations in texture, and the hoof is only part of the story. Their bodies are built for balance. Their limbs place weight with incredible control. Their joints allow precise positioning. Their muscles stabilize them over uneven surfaces. Their center of gravity helps keep them composed even when the terrain seems absurdly narrow. So when an ibex steps onto a ledge, it is not trying not to fall in the way a human would. It is operating inside a system its body understands perfectly. That calmness we see is real. Because for the animal, this is not chaos, this is competence. Chapter 5: Born into the Cliff. One of the most astonishing things about these animals is not the adults. It's the young. Very early in life, newborns begin following their mothers across terrain that would terrify most humans. At first, they look awkward: small legs, uncertain movements, little bursts of energy. But that awkward phase does not last long. Very quickly, the cliff becomes normal, and that tells us something important. This skill is not just learned. It is also deeply rooted in instinct and physical design. They are not born knowing every route, of course. Experience matters. Older animals often lead the way, and younger ones gradually memorize the safest passages. But the urge to seek higher ground, to trust steep terrain, to move into the vertical world that runs deep. To us, the edge means danger. To them, the edge often means protection. And that changes the entire logic of the mountain. Chapter 6: Why heights feel safe to them. Humans often assume these animals are fearless. That is not true. They do feel danger. They just fear different things. For an ibex, the real threat is often not above, it is below. On flat ground, predators are faster, more efficient, and more dangerous. Wolves, large cats, and other hunters dominate where running space is open and footing is easy. But as the slope steepens, the advantage shifts. The place that terrifies us becomes the place that protects them. A cliff face can become a shield. A ledge can become a refuge. A near vertical route can become the safest escape path available. So what looks to us like madness may actually be strategy. And over millions of years, evolution kept rewarding the animals that judged rock well, placed their feet precisely, and stayed calm in places where others would fail. This is why they seem so unnaturally steady. They are not resisting their environment. They are the result of it. Chapter 7: When the human world accidentally helps them there, is another strange twist in this story. Sometimes, human structures accidentally become part of the mountain ecosystem. Dams, roads, stone buildings, tunnel walls, bridge supports. If mineral salts seep onto the surface, animals notice. And once they notice, they return. That is why ibex and other mountain ungulates have sometimes been seen licking roads after winter, when salt used for ice treatment remains on the ground. To drivers, it looks bizarre. To the animals, it is an opportunity. But that opportunity can also become dangerous, because the instincts that help them survive in the wild do not always protect them from cars, traffic, or human infrastructure, and that makes these scenes both fascinating and uneasy. We are not just watching nature do something amazing, we are also watching wildlife adapt, in real time, to a world reshaped by humans. Chapter 8. The deeper lesson. The longer you watch these animals, the more one idea starts to sink in. Maybe the real mistake is ours. We keep describing them as daredevils, as if they are taking insane risks, as if they are doing the impossible, as if they are defying nature. But they are not defying nature. They are expressing it. The cliff is not a mistake in their world. It is part of the design. The dam is strange to us because we imagine ourselves standing there. But the ibex is not imagining us. It is reading the surface, sensing the grip, finding the minerals, and moving through the vertical world the way a fish moves through water. What shocks us is normal to them. And maybe that is why this footage stays in the mind for so long, because it forces us to see something uncomfortable and beautiful at the same time. The world was never built around human comfort. There are lives being lived all around us according to rules we barely understand. And sometimes, if we are lucky, we get a glimpse of that hidden logic. A herd of animals on a vertical wall, not performing, not showing off, not cheating gravity, just going about their day. Outro. So the next time you see an ibex hanging from a dam in Italy, don't ask only, how is it not falling? Ask something stranger. Ask, what kind of world must an animal live in for a vertical wall to feel ordinary? Because once you understand that, the image stops looking impossible and starts looking like one of evolution's most brilliant designs.